Hello, I'm Edward October. Over the years, I've narrated more ghost stories, horror shows, and creepypastas than I can count. And yet, the crimes discussed on our true crime podcast managed to scare the shit out of me. This program is not suitable for children or the faint of heart. If you are such a person, go ahead and switch off this podcast. Listen to something else. Are you still with us? Well, we've warned you.
Well, hello there, Jen.
Hey, Kim, how you doing?
I'm pretty okay. How are you?
I'm great.
Had a lovely day, nice little spring day today, which is good before the heat of Hades hits us, which we all know I hate, so there's that.
Yep. Well, we spent the day trying to open the pool, so that's always fun.
Oh, well, a little arguing, a little something. At least it wasn't too hot. Right?
Oh, it wasn't too hot, but, every year there's something wrong, and a little piece of plastic will cost anywhere between $75 to $150. So that's always fun. But anyway, go ahead.
It's so fun swimming, though. Come on now.
But anyway, what do you have for us today?
Woo! I have I'm going to say humdinger. I have a something that's just, sometimes there's no words. I don't even know what to say. That's all I got for you on that one.
Use the words you can and tell us what it is about.
You ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
So it is January 31st, 2012, when a family member decides to drop by the home of 24-year-old Billie Jean Hayworth and her fiance, 35-year-old Bill Payne. Now, the couple, who shared a 6-month-old son, had recently gotten engaged, and they were excited for the future. The family member regularly stopped by to check in on the young family and was always greeted with the baby crawling around, starting to pull himself up, little toddling around, that kind of stuff. But this time it was different. After not being invited in, knocking on the door and used to come on in, she entered through the unlocked door. She was immediately thrown off since there was not the usual hustle and bustle of the morning. Instead, pure silence. And we all know with a little baby, that's a little odd.
Not a good thing, right? Mm-hmm.
The woman called out to them, but no one responded. As she made her way through the hallway, she looked into the bedroom and saw Bill Payne lifeless on the bed. Shocking, I'm sure, is what she was thinking. She then came upon Billie Jean on the floor, covered in blood, with her baby still clutching to her baby boy. The baby had his mother's blood on him, but he seemed to be unharmed. The woman makes a frantic call to 911, in shock from what she has just witnessed and trying to soothe the baby. Police head to the location, nervous about what they are about to discover. This is not the norm in this quiet Tennessee town of Mountain City, population 2,415. Agent Scott Lott from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation reports to the scene. He determines that Bill Payne had a gunshot wound to the face and his throat had been slit. Billie Jean had a gunshot wound to the head as well. Now, the house didn't seem to be in disarray, indicating that this wasn't a burglary gone wrong. What it did indicate was that someone wanted both of them dead and made sure to make that happen. The murders looked clean, as in a hit. Now, since no one really had a bad thing to say about the couple, investigators needed to look at their friends as well as their foes. As they talked to friends and family, one name kept coming up. The Potters. Marvin, who went by the name Buddy, and Barbara Potter were both in their early 60s and lived in the community. Buddy is a former Marine and Vietnam vet whose mission included saving POWs. Barbara once held a job at Hewlett-Packard. The couple share their home with their 30-year-old daughter named Janelle. Now, Janelle has a few health issues, and she has struggled over the years. And due to this, Janelle didn't really have many friends, and she was picked on growing up. She's never held a job, dated, or even driven a car. Her bedroom looks like that of a little girl's, covered in stuffed animals. In 2004, the family moves to Tennessee, and this is where Janelle really kicked into gear her love of social media. Online Janelle could be whoever she wanted to be. She started friending people online, including Lindsay and Billie Jean. Now they're good friends. This online friendship was not to be, probably because Janelle started posting not so nice things about the girls, the ladies.
Not good.
Now, what she does have going for her is this social media, and by this, it gives her a little normalcy in life. Now, we all know the Facebook warriors that will often say whatever they want to whomever they want while online, and Janelle was kind of like this, to be honest.
She was mean. She was a mean bully troll, kind of.
Yeah, just like
kind of.
I think in real life, she struggled to fit in. I think she had an auditory disorder, and I'm guessing maybe it was auditory processing disorder, meaning like people can tell you stuff, but you have a hard time processing it. I believe she had multiple health issues that affected her, and so it kind of made her a little bit of an outcast.
Okay.
So she struggled with that, but we'll get into that in a minute. Janelle's parents monitor her social media closely, even at the age of 30 years old. Yes. Now, Janelle met Bill Payne, that's the young man that was murdered, through his sister Tracy. This group of friends even hung out socially a bit, but Tracy thought Janelle would be a better match for her cousin, Jamie Curd. Now, Jamie was older than Janelle, but with both of them single, everyone thought that they would be a good match. The two would begin to see each other, but in secret. Jamie would come to the Potter house to help them with a few things, but really he was there just to see Janelle. Since her parents would not allow, and they weren't even open to Janelle dating, Jamie brought Janelle a cell phone so that the two of them could chat without her parents knowing or listening in. Do you get where this is all going? Well, the parents are a little protective.
A little overprotective with her, yeah. Just a little bit. But if she had any kind of
she did, but
disorder, I can see where they would be.
Get into that a little bit.
Any religious overtones to this?
No, more like, no, not really. Not so much that. Soon after Janelle hopped on social media, she started receiving online bullying from people calling her names like loser, whore, you're a bad person, you need to be raped,
Jesus.
That kind of thing. Now, Janelle said that the person responsible for this was Billie Jean Hayworth, the one that is now engaged to Bill Payne. Now, as investigators dig in, Billie Jean's friend, Lindsay, tells them that Janelle Potter had targeted both Billie Jean and herself online, calling them names. When Lindsay confronted Janelle, the harassment amped. It only made it worse. Lindsay said that she started calling the woman and taunting them. It was Janelle who said online that she wished that Billie Jean and that damn baby would all die. Then Billie Jean would retaliate and call Janelle names online. Little she said going on here. The harassment escalated and Janelle called police on the women and said it needed to stop because she's just sick. Physically, she's sick and can't handle this. However, the torment continued. Now, there was a rock thrown at the Potter house and they called the police. And when the police got there, they saw the rock that was laying in the Potter yard. And there were two names on the rock. On one side of the rock, it said Bill Payne. And on the other side, it said Billie Jean. So soon the friends who had friended each other on Facebook unfriended each other. But, oh boy, there's so much more to this twisted tale. Janelle's parents, who are extremely protective, or I'd even say overprotective, step in and tell Lindsay and Billie Jean to stop harassing their daughter. Unable to make it stop, Lindsay and Billie Jean eventually filed a lawsuit against Janelle Potter. The case ended up getting thrown out because there was really lack of evidence other than, she said stuff going on. Thinking that maybe Janelle and her folks may be involved in the murders, officers head over to have a little sit down with them. Chief Bill Woodward, along with Agent Lott, head over to the house because they were well aware of the issues between the Potters and Bill and Billie Jean. Because Janelle would call the police on them, and then Billie Jean would call the police on Janelle. So they knew everything that was going on. Agent Lott questions the family, and he gets some interesting answers. Lott explains that they are investigating the double murder. Janelle tells them that she found out about it when she logged into her Facebook and saw the news. Now, during this part, her mother and father, Buddy and Barbara, are right there with Janelle, with the police officers. They're all present. It's a little awkward, but, being that she's 30 and does have some issues, I get that. Janelle added that it was sad, but, they had been harassing her, meaning their deaths were sad, but they had been harassing her. When asked if she had posted negative information about them online, she said she only posted that Billy and Lindsay leave me alone. Police, they need to confirm that, but for some reason, they asked her to bring out her Facebook, and her Facebook had been deleted. There was nothing on there.
Wow, that's convenient. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Oh, this is a twisted tale, let me tell you. So officers asked, why in the world would Lindsay and Billie Jean have reason to harass you? Janelle tells officers that it was a jealousy thing because they thought she, meaning Janelle, was too pretty. And also she had some problems not fitting in Tennessee because she wasn't born there. They had moved there later, and that she would never fit in. Now, call me crazy, but for you to bring all this up while two people had just not, they haven't even been laid to rest. This is like pretty much right after the murders. It's strange to say the least. It's very, I don't want to say anything bad, but hey, here's this. So Janelle concludes her interview by saying that she didn't want anything bad to happen, as in she never, quote, wished them dead. Another name that was being tossed around was Bill Payne's cousin, Jamie Curd. Now, Bill and Jamie were tight and grew up together, and the word on the street was that Jamie and Janelle were in a relationship. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Janelle's not supposed to be dating. That's right. But you got to remember that this interview is taking place in front of Janelle's parents. So you got to remember how strict they are, overprotective, and not allowed to date at age 30. Or even have, like, a friend, a man friend, a boyfriend. Okay.
Any kind of friend? Just,
well, she didn't have any friends either.
Right.
But,
well.
So when Agent Lott asked who Jamie was to Janelle, she said he's just an old friend, while her mom, Barbara, chimes in that he's a friend of the family. Quick to jump on that. Agent Lott asked Janelle if Jamie was her boyfriend, and quickly Janelle, along with her dad, both say no. Janelle offered a little bit more about Jamie. She told investigators that the cousins were not really speaking because Janelle said that Bill was running his mouth, that's a quote, telling people that Jamie and her dad, Buddy, were selling drugs. Say what? Let's rewind about that. So Janelle offered up to police that cousins, Bill Payne, the one that was murdered, and Jamie Curd, who is seeing Janelle, maybe on the down low, we don't know yet, but they are, said that Jamie and Bill no longer talk because Bill was telling everybody that Jamie and Janelle's dad, Buddy, were selling drugs. Okay. Staying with me? There's a lot to this, let me tell you. We haven't even got to the secret agent man yet.
Well, I was expecting him next.
Anyway. No, he's coming.
Right.
So investigators need to talk to Jamie to see what he knows. They bring Jamie in 2 days after the killings, and, well, things get a bit weird. I know you're shocked. Jamie sits down and tells officers a bit of a different story as to why they were not really getting along, meaning he and his cousin, and it did not involve drugs. Jamie tells them that Bill had told him that the Potters, meaning Janelle specifically, had been posting things about him and his fiance, emailing things, and even calling Billie Jean these vicious...
His lover.
Billie
Jean is not my lover.
Yeah. Billie Jean, these terrible things. Now, of course, everybody denies it. What? No, this is not happening. Janelle and Jamie are not dating. He's not sticking up for her. But he did bring all this up with the police officers, right? Like, I'm not talking to my cousin because there's some stuff going on with Janelle. So obviously at this point, it looks like Jamie's kind of, I guess, got a soft spot for Janelle, if you will. Now, officers would learn later that Bill had set up Jamie and Janelle together about 2 years earlier. But when Bill learned that 30-year-old Janelle couldn't date, he told his cousin Jamie, quote, to run away and fast. But Jamie was already in too deep and wanted Janelle, even if it meant they would have to be in a secret relationship. Bill had said that Janelle was crazy, and Jamie did not like that. That was what put a wedge between the cousins, not that Bill was saying that, Jamie and Buddy, Janelle's dad.
The wedge happened because somebody said she's crazy, and the other one said, no, she's not, and that's why they're...
because he likes her. He's a little sweet on her.
And they're cousins?
Mm-hmm. They're cousins. Yeah.
Any sweet on her? Okay.
There's a lot going on here.
That's a hell of a lot. Yeah.
Just wait. You haven't heard.
And the spy hasn't come in.
No, yes, just wait. So back in the interview room with Jamie, which let me point out too that this was such a small community.
I would think so.
That the
cousins are loving each other.
The interrogation room doubled as the police officer's office. So it's an office. There is no interrogation room because it's small. This is town tiny, right? So back in the interview room with Jamie, they asked Jamie if he killed Bill and Billie Jean, and Jamie said no. Did he participate or know that the couple were going to be killed before they actually were? Jamie said no. Now, Jamie's asked to take a polygraph exam. And you want to guess what happens?
Probably doesn't pass it.
That is correct. He failed. Authorities now believe that at this point, he may not have been the one to kill the couple, but he knows who did, or at the very least, he knows a lot more than he's saying. Agents start the hard press. They tell Jamie that, hey, we don't think that you're the shooter, but they think Janelle and her dad are involved somehow. This is a twisted little tale here, twisted web, if you will. Jamie's disposition immediately changes. They can tell he's about to break. They press him and they want to know who had the gun. Who had the gun? Tell us who had the gun. We know it wasn't you, but we know you were there. And I love this because in the interrogation video, they sit really close to him. And this is somebody that that you could get to break. This is not a mass killer. So Jamie mutters, he did. The officers then ask, who is he?
Who's he?
He is Buddy Potter. And he said yes. So Janelle's dad killed Billie Jean and Bill Payne. With the truth out, Jamie will tell them exactly what happened on that day to Billy and Billie Jean. Jamie said that he and Buddy drove over to Bill's house. Once there, Buddy gave Jamie a gun and told him to stay near the front door. Now, I'm guessing this is in case somebody tried to escape, right? So Buddy's going to be the shooter, but just in case, Jamie has to have the door and make sure nobody runs out. Right. As the pair enter the home, Buddy walks into the bedroom. Bill then screamed out and a gunshot rang out. Billie Jean, bless her heart, screamed, ran out of the bedroom, and basically she tried to make it out that door where Jamie was and then turned around and ran to her son's room. Buddy then followed her, and then there was a second gunshot. So she did get her little baby boy, that little sweetie, and get him up out of that bed, but was shot with that infant in her arms.
Poor thing.
As Jamie wraps up the details, he asks the agents a simple question. Here you go, Jen. Is the CIA here?
Nice.
Now, this really threw the officers off, and they're like, CIA? No, there's no CIA. And he's like, seriously serious. He's seriously serious, right? So wondering what the heck Jamie is talking about the CIA for, he tells them what he knows. So Jamie said that Janelle had a friend whose name was Chris and that he worked for the CIA. The agents really don't think much of it other than, okay, that's a little weird. Moving on, they tell Jamie that he needs to help them nail Buddy for all of this. And of course, with his little tail between his legs, he agrees. I mean, what else are you going to do? On February 6, 2012, Jamie called the Potter home. And guess what? The phone's tapped. Yeah, that phone's tapped there, buddy. Barbara answers the phone, and, she gets right to it. Jamie says, hey, can I talk to Buddy? And Barbara says, hey, I heard you took a lie detector. Jamie said yes, and then she asked, did you pass? Jamie says, yes. He didn't pass, but okay. So Buddy then gets on the phone, and Jamie tells Buddy that the police are starting to point fingers. Then Jamie asks Buddy, hey, did you get rid of everything? Meaning from Bill's, right? Buddy said, uh-huh. I wrote it as yes, but he didn't say that. He said, uh-huh. And with that yes, that gave them reason to get Buddy and arrest him. Buddy is now brought in. On February 7th, 2012, Buddy comes into the station, and at first, he is cool as a cucumber, thinking, they don't have anything on me. Now, he is cocky. He's kind of got a laughing, dismissive attitude. Now, let me insert here, because I didn't write it here, but he's on oxygen. And he has like all these tanks of oxygen with him, and that comes up in a bit. I didn't write this, but later on when Barbara makes this comment, you'll understand.
Right, okay.
So they go in with the trick of placing the blame on somebody else at first, like, hey, we know you didn't do this, but we know probably you know who did, right? And the idea is to get him to kind of like fess up and then in a roundabout way get back, and then hopefully he implicates himself.
Right.
But that didn't work out. So they said that they believe Jamie did the murder and Jamie asked you for help. But Buddy doesn't buy it. Then they try the old, we know that you are sick of your precious baby girl being attacked and you just wanted to protect her. Well, that's all it took. He takes the bait and he tells them that he has heard such awful things about his daughter. It was exhausting. Then they tell him, hey, you know what? We were listening on that phone call. You know, the one where Jamie asked if you got rid of the stuff and that you said yes. And with that, Buddy slumps over. He's not so self-assured anymore because the gig is up, my friend.
He's been bamboozled.
He's been bamboozled. So it takes him a bit to get him to kind of come out with everything. But tearfully, he says that when his sweet little daughter was threatened with awful statements, such as that they will rape and murder her because she was a virgin, and they wanted to rape and murder her because she was a virgin. Investigators still need to put this all together. I mean, this is a messed up puzzle, and it's not quite coming together. You know, there's a lot of little pieces at play. So let's go back to the phone taps. Police decide that they need to listen in on a phone call between Buddy and Barbara. So they encourage Buddy to call Barbara. So basically, they're wanting to know if Barbara was in on this. Does she know anything? What's going on?
Right.
Way too many people in this. So in the call, Buddy tells Barbara, and it's like a heartfelt thing. I had to listen to this twice because I was like, wait, really? So Buddy's like, you know, Barbara, I just want you to know that I was involved with this. I want you to know before you hear it from somebody else. Now, maybe it's shock, or maybe there's a little bit more to the story, and that's what police are betting on. But Barbara responds with, it's not true, because you were sitting with me the whole time that they were killed on the couch. What? Yeah. There's no crying. There's no screaming. Barbara, nothing. She's just didn't really react. So that's very telling in itself, as you know. Barbara would later claim that Buddy didn't have his oxygen with him. This is where it comes up. And that he didn't really know what he was saying. Now, at this point, Buddy and Jamie can be charged with murder, but the agents are still unclear as to why all of this happened. I mean, they have Jamie and Buddy. They have them, you know, right there. But why? Like, they don't, like, well, why did all this take place? So many questions. So a search of the Potter home reveals some telling things. Guns everywhere. I was going to sing that, but I didn't. Photos of the victims lifted off Facebook were located in the living room. So there's Facebook photos of from Billie Jean and Bill, like on vacation at the beach with the baby, like all the stuff, right?
Did it have like the red string, like Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in...
Well, it had some choice words on it, Jen.
Okay.
Like whore written across it, things like that. But
subtle.
As they're kind of searching this, they notice that Barbara gets up and she makes her way to those photos and she starts tearing them in half. Say what? So police are like, whoa, we need to see those. And of course, they learned that they're photocopies of Billie Jean and her friends and Bill that had been printed off Facebook. And I already said that they had little things in there like Billie Jean whore and things like that.
Yeah.
As they are searching around the house, they find garbage bags of shredded papers in the back of Buddy's truck. We're going to need to take all this for evidence, what is this? Because, it's emails. We don't know that yet, but it is emails. So this is going to take some time, but those documents need to be reassembled. From the looks of it, they seem to be emails. That's what I just said. Now, many are back and forth between Janelle and her mom. And this kind of cracked me up because Janelle doesn't really go anywhere. She doesn't have a job. Like mom's in the front yard. Like mom and dad are retired and Janelle doesn't have a job, but they're emailing each other back and forth. But okay, whatever. That's fine. But during the course of this and putting some of these emails together, here you go, Jen. There's a new name revealed in the mix. That's Chris. The secret agent man / CIA guy.
Nice.
Agents head back over to the Potter home because they need some more answers after putting this together. Who is Chris?
The hell is Chris? Yeah.
And why is he in the CIA? And why is he emailing you guys? What's going on?
I'm going to say that there's no such thing as CIA Chris.
Well, there's a Chris.
But he's not CIA.
So it seemed to be several of the emails were to Barbara, and they were from Chris. and he was explaining a few things about Billie Jean and Bill. CIA Chris wanted Barbara to know just how awful this couple was, not only to Janelle, but they were just terrible people in general. They were on drugs. They were doing bad things to people. They were just not good people. CIA Chris is telling Barbara, the mom, that. Another email was from Chris to Jamie Curd, which is Janelle's kind of boyfriend. And in the email, Chris said, I don't understand because Janelle did nothing wrong. Why are these people doing all this to her? Why are they so mean to her? CIA Chris went on to say that he feared that the torment would either have Janelle harm herself or worse, they, meaning Billie Jean and Bill, may kill her.
What?
Yeah, because they're being so mean to Janelle, that couple. So CIA Chris worries that they may kill her. So authorities are now wondering if these emails from Chris are what forced Jamie and Buddy to kill the young couple. Police needed to find that Chris fella and find out what he knows. Did he instigate all this? Was he the one that, did all this stuff? They need to know. So they finally locate a man in Delaware by the name of Chris Jaden. And when they find Chris, they learn that, he did work in law enforcement as like a security guard.
Oh, yeah.
But he's nowhere near a CIA agent.
In his dreams, maybe. He's got high hopes.
So Agent Lott reached out to Chris to find out how he ties into this whole thing. Chris invites him up and to his house. And honestly, this is just some guy named Chris. He has no idea what's going on. I think when they found him, he's out doing yard work and these two police officers, agents, show up. The investigators inform him that he is under investigation for the murder of 2 people. What?
Is he shocked about that?
Very, wouldn't you be? Huh. They tell him that they have emails tying him to the murders. These emails even had photos of him, Jen. And, there's no denying it was Chris. It was Chris. It was him. But there were photos that were, questionable. There was a photo of him standing with his friends, and it was captioned, Chris with his broken arm. Another was a photo of Chris with a bright red Ferrari, captioned Chris's Ferrari. Now, Chris isn't in the picture with the Ferrari. It just says Chris's Ferrari.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Chris has never had a broken arm, and I think we all know that police officers or, CIA agents, maybe they make a lot more, can't afford a Ferrari.
No, usually not.
Now, at this point, Chris is in disbelief, and he really doesn't understand what is going on. Police know that there's some tie somewhere, but they need to ask the right questions and kind of, cross the T's and dot the I's, if you will. It doesn't take long. Chris tells them that, yes, he knows a Janelle Potter because the two went to high school together, but they weren't friends. They weren't friends in high school. They didn't hang out in high school. And they never saw each other after high school. There was simply a girl that he went to high school with named Janelle Potter.
Janelle.
However, Chris does paint quite a different picture of Janelle. He said that she was the type of kid who always sought attention. She would do things to bring all the attention to herself. She would even follow him around, wait for him in the hallways. I think it was a little crush. She had a little crush on him. Hi, Chris. And Chris would be like, hi. But they never saw each other after high school. He didn't think twice about it. So police get a hold of those emails and they, find a treasure trove. Hundreds of emails between Janelle and her mom, Barbara, where they were talking about Billie Jean and Lindsay. Lindsay's Billie Jean's friend that she was mean to, and how mean they were. And I'm being nice here because, you get the idea. They were, there's words tossed to the raping of the virgin and the whatever. Now, what is strange is that investigators learned that CIA Chris was regularly reporting back to the Potters via email about his covert investigation of the Paynes. Since he has all those connections in the CIA and has all the time in the world to spy on these people who live in Tennessee and, are engaged in this online Facebook feud. Yeah, that's CIA people have.
So who's pretending to be Chris?
We don't know yet.
CIA Chris, yeah. Poor CIA Chris. He doesn't deserve this.
So in these little things, they find out that Chris, let me say that again, CIA Chris, just because there's a lot of names going on here, would email Barbara and tell her about all these horrible things that the Paynes were saying about Janelle. Then Barbara would share this with Buddy, the dad, get him all riled up. Barbara even told Chris that although they didn't want to kill anybody, they would if they had to. So at this point, it's all becoming clear to the agents what is going on. They needed to make sure they were all correct, so they needed to get the IP addresses of all the parties involved. Now, you know what I'm going to say here, Jen. It's one of the quotes that we always say since we were like in middle school. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right. They're all coming from inside the house. Remember, the calls are coming from inside the house? Yeah.
It's Janelle.
So all the emails are from the Potter home. So secret agent man Chris, Janelle, Barbara, Buddy, they're all there. This is the classic catfishing scam, but this one turned deadly. Janelle acted as Chris, emailing her mother and Jamie to inform them that sweet Janelle was being harassed and that they, meaning Billie Jean and Bill, wanted her dead. Well, with all of this, I think, this is my opinion, Janelle knew that they would take this to Buddy, who was, former Vietnam vet, a Marine, carried guns to do gardening. He carried a gun with him at all times, okay, all the time. So I think that Janelle knew that Dad would come to her rescue.
And she called, Yep. Horrible.
So at this point, phone records, police get the phone records, and they showed that Janelle texted Jamie at 4:39 a.m. on the morning of the murders. Janelle texted Jamie, quote, "He is leaving now. I hear the car." And that is, that you can assume that is about her dad, Buddy, because Buddy was going to leave and go get Jamie. A minute later, Janelle texted Jamie, quote, "I love you. Text me ASAP when you get back," end quote. Evidence showing that Janelle knew exactly what was about to occur. Prosecutor Dennis Brooks has the case, and he needs to weed through all of this. And there's a lot, so bless him. And he wrote a book. I'll put it in the show notes. He wrote, I think, the one and only book on this case. It's us. And he needs to go through all this, put it out there in simple terms for a jury to understand. Because, me telling you and saying all the stuff, you can't be unprofessional like me and say it like this. But this was also early, the early 2000s, and catfishing was kind of a rather new thing at the time. Brooks needed help. He reached out to a linguistics professor, Dr. Robert Leonard, who would help explain. Now, the key here is to illustrate how all these emails were penned by the same person. And the best way to do that is to look for similarities. We all have that style of writing. I know I do. I know you do. Even when we were writing love notes to Emilio Estevez and Rob Lowe. Yep. We all have that style of writing. And that style, it obviously bleeds over to all the things we write. For example, in this case, Janelle would not write out numbers. So, for instance, she would write the number 7, like 7 weeks, instead of SEVEN. Now, a lot of people do that, but when you consecutively do that, and then you put it up against another email, and that email does the same thing, that's just some coincidence, maybe.
So she always wrote the number instead of the word.
Yes, correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, after the doctor looked at the emails, he discovered several instances of patterns. And that's the thing. Like, you look for patterns to see if this pattern from Janelle is very much like this pattern from Chris, secret agent guy, very much like the pattern from Billie Jean, right? So all of that stuff. So looking at this, he discovered several instances that occurred in the emails from Janelle, as well as emails from Chris. And finally, what I think was a kind of a smooth move, Prosecutor Brooks had Janelle and Barbara type out their statement, as in type them out themselves, rather than an officer is going to take your statement and then the officer writes. I think that's kind of smart. It's a high five to you, buddy. So these statements would be used and then sent to the doctor to find these mistakes. Janelle would make several mistakes in her statement. Spelling errors, transverse letters, grammatical errors, a use of a word incorrectly, but these were all the same. They were in the statement as well as the emails, right? So it's like, You see a couple mistakes once or twice, okay, but if it's continuously the same thing, you know what I mean? Like if you spell a word wrong here and then Chris, secret agent guy, spells the word wrong the same way, you start to think, oh, okay. Now, the ironic, I put funny in the script, but I guess it's more, I don't know if it'd be ironic or funny, but it's interesting. It's interesting to note that Janelle's defense attorney would cite all of these same mistakes, but for the opposite, claiming that Janelle, in her diminished mental capacity, could never conceive a plan so elaborate as this one, claiming that it was all Buddy and only Buddy who did this, and Buddy just talked Jamie into coming with him. It's now clear that Janelle Potter was not the victim here, but she was the instigator of an elaborate catfish game that used Jamie, the man who loved her, and her parents to murder for her. Now, what is not clear is the motive. But guess what? It's gonna come to light. So just like Chris in high school, Janelle had a habit of becoming, shall we say, a little bit obsessed with people, and those people did not return the love. Janelle had set her sights on Bill Payne, and so when Bill met Billie Jean, Janelle was not happy about that. And then when Billie Jean got pregnant, Janelle kicked her evil plan into high gear. At this point, there is enough evidence that both Janelle and her mother, Barbara, can be charged with, just like Buddy and Jamie, first-degree murder. In November 2013, Barbara, Buddy, and Janelle Potter, along with Jamie Curd, will head to trial. But here we go, right? Just can't make this up. The night before the start of the trial, there's a little surprise comes to Mr. Brooks. Prosecutor Brooks received an audio recording of Bill Payne and Barbara Potter. Now, Bill, I guess, called Barbara, and he's basically saying, listen, we're done with this. You know, because Bill was a lot older than Billie Jean. He's in his, what did I say, mid to late 30s. And he calls Barbara and he's like, listen, we're done with this. We are done with Janelle, with all her issues. Janelle needs to stop harassing us. Now, of course, Barbara's like, no, that is not true. It is not true. And you can hear this. It's a hot mess. I'm going to get to that in a second. See, I'm getting all excited about this because I just can't believe things like this happen. So anyway, he calls and he's like talking to Barbara at first, but you can hear Buddy chiming in the background saying that's not true. Well, Bill's getting around to this and he's like, no, we're not harassing her. It's the other way around. She is harassing us. In fact, Janelle is lying to you guys. Well, you know how that goes. As Bill is telling Barbara and Buddy that Janelle has more on her computer than they can see, you can hear Janelle wailing in the background. Now, this was like, this hurts me. He's hurting me. My feelings are hurt. All of this stuff. Now, both of her parents claim that they're looking at Janelle's computer right now. They're looking at it, and Janelle only has family portraits on her computer. And also on her computer, she downloads music. She is a sweet soul. She is not mean. You know, this is what they're saying. Bill tells the parents that Janelle is the way she is because of them. You never allowed her to have a life. Well, of course, that didn't go over too good.
No.
So the call ends with Barbara threatening Bill Payne that if he ever calls here again, I'm going to do something about it. Once again, Janelle is pulling the strings. The trial kicks off with Jamie Curd, who received a plea deal of 25 years if he agrees to testify against the Potters. Guess who else is on the stand, Jen? It's our good friend CIA agent Chris, secret agent man Chris, takes the stand. I can't even get in.
Non-CIA Chris, actually. I mean, the poor guy got drug into it just because she had a crush on him in high school. Seriously.
She's 30. So that's
poor guy.
12 years later?
Yeah. Come on. That poor man has...
It's interesting to note that when Chris took the stand, and he is cute. He's a cute... I was going to say kid. He's not a kid.
30.
To me, he's a kid. At this point, yeah. Janelle, the prosecutor's like, she just focused on him and did not take her eyes off him. And they're like, yeah, because he's good. He's kind of a good-looking guy. Whatever.
Right.
And she liked him, right?
Obviously.
So the father... Buddy, his trial would last just 5 days, and he was tried solo, while Barbara and Janelle are being tried together, and their trial lasted 7 days. Buddy, Barbara, and Janelle are all found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Each of the family members would receive 2 life sentences, 1 for each life they took. So then we got to wrap this up like this. So 2020 did an episode on the case, and it's interesting, and it's kind of like you just can't believe some of the stuff. But Barbara and Janelle did sit down to answer a few questions. And First up was Barbara. And when Barbara was asked about the emails and why Barbara wanted the couple dead, remember, I don't want to kill them, but I will. Remember, she said that early. She claimed she didn't say that. And the funny part is the reporter is like, here's 1, 2, 3. And she's like, I don't know what you're saying. And she's talking over him. He's talking over her because it's like 11 pages of emails saying this. And she's like, I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking. That was not me. I didn't do it. It wasn't her. Did not do it. I don't know what you're talking about. She did say that she loved her husband and daughter, but she would not go down for this. She would not serve a life sentence for her daughter. And it was kind of like, really? You're not going to take? And she's like, no, I'm not going to do this, which is telling, I think.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go down if, that's kind of a psycho move. Come on.
Well, the whole thing, but see,
Really?
if you really thought all that, because they thought that their poor daughter was being, harassed, bullied, that she was being abused. But during the interview with Janelle, you gotta watch it. When asked if God could forgive her mother, she kind of hesitated and she said, sure. So then when it asked if God could forgive her, she said, well, I never killed anyone. I didn't kill anyone. Wait. So then he's like, so you really think you had no responsibility for any of this? No, I didn't do it. I didn't know. So then her lawyer is sitting by her, by the way. So the reporter's like, listen, the fact is this was proven. You were Chris. Chris was you. And she's like, starts tearing up. She starts crying. I don't want to be judgy, but it's true. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. So then she grabs her lawyer and the lawyer's like, we're done. We can't do this anymore. And she stormed out of the interview. So she really, I don't, and I don't, I have some conflicted feelings because I don't know what mental capacity she has. And I'm sure she is operating on a lower level. But also I think that her parents kind of kept her on that lower level. Like you can still have, an auditory processing disorder. You can still have diabetes. You can still have things wrong with you and still live a good life. And have a partner and have friends and do stuff. Am I wrong?
She sounds very manipulative, though.
And that's
conniving, and
that's the thing.
She knows what ropes to pull to get people to do what she wants. I mean, she's
going back to some of the things they said that back in the day she had a little fixation on Chris, CIA Chris. And so she never really kind of got over that. So then she really liked him. He's a good looking guy, smart kid, popular, all that stuff. Right. So she kind of stored that away in the back and then used him to kind of get those others to do what she wanted. And they did talk to people that said she had no feelings for Jamie Curd. Jamie was kind of an awkward fella, I guess we'll say, a little awkward, right? I'm just going to say awkward, which is fine. I'm awkward. It's okay. It's all good. But that she kind of used him to do that. She did state in an interview she's never been with a man. Again, totally fine. But that she was kind of using Jamie to get to them. And the bottom line, all the way to the bottom.
Jamie to get to Billie Jean and
Bill. Yeah.
Bill. Okay.
To get, she made him love her and think, these people are hurting me. They're so mean to me. They're harassing me. They're bullying me. All of that. You got to take care of them. You got to do this for me. And how it all festered up to that, because there's a lot probably that we don't know. I can't cover on this podcast, but you can check out the book in the show notes. They were saying really what happened is you go way back. Tracy, which was Bill Payne's sister, who worked in a pharmacy there, met her. And I guess the community knew her and they kind of felt sorry for her. They knew she was sheltered. They knew she, had some issues. They brought her, they wanted to, as people do, they wanted to promote her and be, positive with her. So they invited her on some outings and things like that. Well, that's where she met Bill Payne and she had her little heart set on Bill Payne. And she became kind of infatuated with him, much like CIA Chris. And then when he was met Billie Jean, and then that's kind of when the harassment started. But when they moved in together, got engaged, and she had a baby, and then she said, quote, they need to die. That damn baby needs to die. All that ramped up. So it was kind of like the love that you can't have. I mean, This is just what I'm saying and what they're saying. She didn't say that. Her family didn't say that. The mom still denies that she knew of any of this happening. But Buddy, the father, and Jamie have all admitted that, yeah, they went over there and killed Bill Payne and Billie Jean because they were harassing Janelle. And they truly believed that Janelle was in harm's way, that they were going to get to her and rape her and murder her and kill her and do terrible, torturous things to her. That's what she had kind of convinced them in those texts from that she made up from them. So, yeah. And that's that story. And that is insane. Is that not insane?
It's a crazy case.
Like, I don't...
Crazy.
And I don't... And here's... I don't... One of my favorite quotes from...
Hell hath no fury.
Right? One of my favorite quotes from... Let me think if I can get this straight. Prosecutor Brooks was... and it's terrible. I don't mean to laugh. And I don't even know if this is true because I don't... She went to high school and then after that, that's it. But I think from what I can understand, she went to a regular high school. So she's not functioning on a terribly low level. But he said she might be functioning on a third grade level, but she's got a PhD in, what did he say? A PhD in conning people or something like that. And I was like, I think he nailed it on the head. Like she kind of knew that, you know, And so she had an older sister, and that's not mentioned much in there. And the older sister said that they bowed down to her and did whatever she wanted. Like she was the favorite. And I think the older sister might have really not had much to do with them. But they're like, Janelle just, you know, she used what she could to get what she wanted. And then she was babied so much. So
they did her bidding, whatever she wanted. That's what she got.
And it's, you know, and I get that. Like if somebody was saying that about your child, but you're not going to murder them.
You're not going to murder them. Both my daughters were bullied very badly. And I mean, one of them, we had to get the police involved, but there's no way I'd ever
that's
go
how the police,
after murder.
Yeah. And that's how the police knew that, like, when Billy and Billie Jean were murdered, they're like, let's go to the Potters, because they had already been called back and forth.
Right.
She's harassing us. They're harassing me, you know, all that stuff. So they knew.
Unreal. Kind of reminds me of this past season of Pretend. Just a little bit.
Oh, yes. It does. With our friend
Javier.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, kind of. That's actually, oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yep. So everybody go listen to that last season of
because that's
Pretend.
Talk about a humdinger. Very much like this.
Crazy. Yes, but Javier saw everything firsthand. I mean, it's just...
Lived it.
He lived
to them all. Yeah, actually go listen to that. That's amazing. It is. Yeah. And it's very similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
it was one of those
away.
when I actually joined his Patreon.
So did I.
So I could do it.
Because I needed to know how it ended.
I know. It's season 12, I believe. Yeah, of Pretend.
I just think that, and I hope I'm not being too judgy. I don't. And I don't know, like Janelle, obviously, even if she's not.
She was smart enough to know what she was doing.
The whole thing that sealed it for me is the text to Jamie at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, knowing her dad is about to go pick up Jamie, her boyfriend, to go murder these people. She knew. I can hear him. He's leaving. I heard the car. And then a minute later, I love you. Text me when you get back ASAP. To me, that was like, you know what's going on. And I think 4-year-olds know life and death, that you don't kill living things, right? You don't.
They don't know that they might not know that it's all final.
Yeah.
Like complete death is final. But you know that, she knew. I totally believe that she knew what she was doing. She constructed CIA Chris out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, just the back of her mind.
If you read some of the emails from CIA Chris, like, maybe they don't go to CIA college, but you know that they do not. Why does CIA Chris concern himself about this girl in a population of 2,000 town?
Well, and I tell you, if somebody tells you that they're a CIA agent, I will 100% guarantee you that they are not a CIA agent. I mean, people just don't go around saying, "Hi, I'm Jennifer, CIA." You know what I mean? They don't do that.
I don't mean to laugh. I don't. And I'm a little concerned, but it's very... I mean, those poor people lost their life, and they were cute. They were
the babies,
the baby
growing up without parents, their biological parents. Yeah, I know, it's horrible. All because somebody's feelings got hurt.
And to shoot
Because, yeah.
a 20, what did I say? She's 24, something like that. 24. She's holding her baby in her arms, and you shoot that mama? 24 years old, and you shoot that mama with that baby. That it could have fallen, baby hit the head. Like,
because she was jealous. She was jealous. She had
that's kind of
the
what the sister
woman,
said.
Yeah.
The sister was like, she's always gotten her way. It's all about her. And
she wanted that man. The man picked somebody else, and it made her angry. And if she can't have him, nobody will. And she made her dad do it, which is just as horrible, too.
But they went in, too, thinking that this is, like, in the interview, and you know what I mean? He's like, and they, you know, the officers were like, you know, going in with what they thought would get him, and it finally did. They're like, I bet you are so sick and tired of this. And then he caved. He's like, do you know what it's like to hear these people want to rape my baby girl, my precious baby girl? She's a virgin. She can't help it. She doesn't, you know, she doesn't know what's going on. But they did kind of, like, and maybe she did have a little bit diminished mental capacity, but you can still have a good life. Like, you can still, you know what I mean? Like, you can, does that sound stupid?
It almost makes you wonder how,
like, they did that to her.
Impaired she was.
And that's what I mean. I don't know, but I know that if she was smart enough to concoct all this, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things at play here. I'm going to go get the CIA guy that's going to feed this to my mom, who I know will feed it to my dad because they love me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot going on. So she can't be that impaired. I don't think. I don't know. Don't come at me for...
No, maybe book-wise she was, from what you said. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't even know if...
But she was manipulative.
There you go. Yes, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Unreal. And two people lost their life because she couldn't handle...
But for nothing. And, you know, the whole thing is that Bill Payne, when he called Barbara, he had her number. He was like, she is lying to you. And they're like, no, we're on her Facebook right now. We can see it. And you hear her wailing. I can't do this. I don't feel good. I'm sick. You can't. You know what I mean? And it's very... Like, as a parent, like, maybe just, like Javier, like, maybe take a look and think, wait, you know what I mean? Step away from it.
It's not adding up. Right.
Yeah.
And then to be non-CIA Chris drug into the whole thing, or dragged into the whole thing. Just,
could you imagine? He's like
just out of the blue. Yeah. He's living his best
Delaware.
life. Yeah.
Hey, we're here to talk to you because you are a person of interest in a double murder.
Double murder.
What? Yeah.
Right. And just unreal.
I don't mean to laugh.
Your life just totally
I don't mean to be
upside
judgy.
down. And
I'm totally, like, I am totally, as you are, team Billie Jean and Bill Payne.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Whatever. I can't believe. And, like, one of the officers said, you know, actually, I think it was the linguistics guy, was like, if you saw this on paper, you'd be like, nobody believes this. This is ridiculous. And yet it happened.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
It really
has been. Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yep. Unreal. Well, that was a good one. Twisty and turny.
I got another twisty turny one come up too. I had to rewind. I was watching it on a show and I had to keep rewinding it because I'm like, wait, what? That's coming up. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right. So speaking of stay tuned, do we have a little something to mention? A little something?
You mean like a promo? Yes, we do have a promo. Thank you for bringing that up. I have a new friend. His name is Brad.
Always have new friends, Jen.
I know. I love making friends. But anyway, I met him when I was in Birmingham for True Crime Live. And he does the podcast Killin', Missin', Hidden. And he's really a nice guy. I really like him. He's very quiet. He's kind of a quiet, funny guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of listen. I don't know. I just enjoyed his company. I thought he was really great. But he's a former criminal defense trial attorney. And
so he's smart, not like a...
He's smart. No. And the babysitter fell through and he had to bring his two boys in, and his boys were so well behaved. Wow. Just nice kids. He's a great guy. He's funny. Like I said, I really enjoyed him. But yeah, he's got a podcast, and we're going to play his promo, and I suggest you listen to the promo and listen to his show, and it's Killin', Missin', and Hidden. Or just Killin', Missin', Hidden. KMH.
So yeah. Okay. Stay tuned for that. All right.
Other than that, I've got nothing else. I've got, it's busy season. You've had graduations and school's out and parties.
Jen, I've had 3 weekends. I'm so tired. 3 weekends of activities. I'm not used to it.
I know. Our school is finally out, and I've had nothing but kids stay the night. Matter of fact, after this, I've got to leave the downstairs room because a bunch of kids are coming, and they want to do video game party. I don't know.
Not me. Nope.
It's
jammy time.
It's kind of annoying to always have kids over here all the time, but it's also kind of nice having kids over here all the time.
Because you can nose. I always liked it because you can nose in and see what your kids are doing.
Oh, yeah. And my daughters have very nice friends.
I was just going to say, exactly. And so did mine, so it was okay.
So they're always welcome here. And I get to know what they're doing. Yeah. Yes.
Nose around.
I know they're safe and I know who they're with. So it's all good.
Well, I don't know if they're safe with you guys, but yeah.
Oh, they're terribly safe with us. Trust me.
I'm kidding.
Terribly safe. So
all
anyway.
Right. That's it. That's all I got.
Wait. One more thing. One more thing before we go.
What?
We've had a couple people upset with some ads that we've run.
Forgot about that.
And
well, technically we did not run them.
It's our host, and I'll go over this one more time. Our hosts pick the ads by region and by demographic. We have no say. I mean, we can pick what we don't want to be run, which we don't usually want. Let's see, what is that? We've picked no political ads, no gambling ads, no alcohol, no vaping, no cigarettes, none of the vices. We don't want any vices. And we say that's what we don't want. And they usually abide by that. Sometimes things get in under the radar because people might think it's political, but it's actually
weird.
Right.
They classify them weird.
Right. So unless you are hearing our voice tell you about the product, we can't do anything about it. So,
and for instance, just to clarify. So for instance, like maybe say that one that ran was under like cuisine and food. Well, if we chose not to run that, that means any cuisine and food we could not run. So none
Subway,
of that.
No
Hello Fresh,
Eats,
no
Hello Fresh.
Yeah, none of that.
Nothing.
That would all be canceled out.
Right. We're rock a hard place. We can't do everything. So we apologize, but like I said, unless Cam and I are hawking something to you and it's in our voices, that's
true.
What we actually will put our names behind. Mm-hmm. That's what we're advertising. Any other of the other ads, we have no control of.
And truth be told, we're a little picky about that because we have been offered stuff and we turn it down because we don't feel, if we wouldn't feel comfortable using it or doing it, we don't want to sell it. If we haven't used it, we don't believe in it. We haven't seen it work for that. And, it's terrible. It's awful, but not that we necessarily approve. Let's just say that. And I hope that if you have listened to our show for almost 5 years, we have 2 months and it'll be 5 years. You should kind of know us and that we would never promote something that we don't believe in or, that's all I'm going to say about that.
So anyway, that's it. Enough of that. That's all I got. So listen to Killing, Missing, and Hidden with Brad.
Thanks, Bran. Hey, and until then, remember, lock your doors.
And keep passing by those open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya.
Today's episode was researched and written by me, Cam. For more information about this episode, as well as all the sources I used, please check out our show notes or the podcast website at ourtruecrimepodcast.com. Our True Crime Podcast is developed and created by hosts Jen and Cam. Original music and audio mix of all our True Crime Podcast episodes is courtesy of Nico Vertesi from We Talk of Dreams. Listener discretion is provided by Edward October from October Pod VHS. Our True Crime Podcast is executive produced by Nico Vertesi and Dick Vane. Make sure to like and subscribe to Our True Crime Podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We can be reached on Instagram and Facebook at Our True Crime Podcast or on Twitter at Our True Crime Pod. You can email us at ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com. If you really like the show, make sure to check out our Patreon at Our True Crime Podcast. Our True Crime Podcast is an OTC production.
Killing Missing Hidden is a true crime podcast hosted by a true criminal defense attorney. That'd be me, your old buddy Brad. Every Tuesday, Killing Missing Hidden serves up a new story to get you through the week. If you're looking for a true crime podcast with a healthy scoop of legal analysis mixed in, go find Killing Missing Hidden on your favorite listening app. Killing Missing Hidden, a podcast about bad things.